Does a mullet plus a perm equal a merm? We didn't know it back then, but your teacher was definitely hungover when this thing rolled into class. I never thought about it, but they're probably right. Growing up in the 80s, this was our GoFundMe. Well, by this time of the year, we'd usually be shoveling snow. You can't hear a picture. Me.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime gal.
Y'all forgetting who the original Baby Yoda was. If you're wondering why Gen X is the way it is, it's because Millennial Gen Z had parents constantly Googling best parenting strategies for your growing miracle. And ours were like, you can play with a knife in your room, just don't smoke weed in the kitchen. If they don't know what these are, they're too young for you. Betamax and Chill. These were actually pretty cool. Too bad they didn't take off. This exact casserole dish that every 80s mom owned. My mom used to have one of these, except the flowers were different. I found out, only after 41 years, that there are no holes in the pool tables in Michael Jackson's Beat It video. For one thing, this is just kind of weird. But secondly, does that mean that they made these pool tables just for this video? Or are these not actually pool tables and they're used for something else? If you guys know the answer, drop it in the comments. Dennis from Jurassic Park was secretly cosplaying as characters from the Goonies. I wonder if this actually was intentional. Because if it was, that's awesome. It certainly looks intentional, that's for sure. There was nothing like folding up a manual convertible top in the rain. That, or you left the top at home and had to drive in the rain while people stared at you for being an idiot. Yeah, you should upgrade to a modern convertible. That way when the motor quits, even though you got the top on the car, you still can't raise it. Good morning, my 80s neighbors. It's 1985, and you're telling Grandma about this great new technology called a Nintendo Entertainment System. That way she'll know what to ask for when she goes to the store. How it feels when I'm telling a story about something that happened in my 20s, and some grown person next to me says, "Oh, that's the year I was born." You cried when Mufasa unalived. I cried when Charlotte unalived. We are not the same. You have to admit, Logan Paul does kind of look like this guy from Mike Tyson's Punch-Out game. Life before microwave popcorn. I still use one of these. I actually don't even have a microwave. I miss these kinds of commercials. Yeah, even the commercials back then were cool, and a lot of them were pretty funny. I'm a kid at heart, and a senior citizen's at knees and back. I wish this wasn't so true. It's sad to see one of your childhood heroes sleeping on the streets. Therapist, just relax and tell me when it all began. Me. Now this is a pretty cool looking coffee table. I'd hate to know how much he paid to have that made though. I finally remember what Zoom meetings remind me of. Who was supposed to have been on the bottom right? Either they were too short or they fell. And one day we said, this will be the last coin. And it was. Kinda sad when you think about it. How many of you remember the last arcade that you played? Drop it in the comments. Here's another one of the G.I. Joe aircraft carriers. I'd love to know what those are worth these days, because they have to be pretty rare. Defense contractors right now. Not sure what this slide's doing in here. This actually goes with my Laugh While the World Burns series. But it is true. McDonald's in 1980. McDonald's 2023. McDonald's today looks like fast food for a prison. How many people remember the bowl of candy that your grandma always kept on the table, usually in a glass bowl with a lid? Who remembers unfolding the cassette insert to read the lyrics? We never did any of that. We just sung it wrong for 30 years until we finally seen a lyric video on YouTube. Only 3 people will get this, but it's worth it. I know most of you on my channel will get this. You can't just post someone's hair and expect people to recognize. If you know who this is, drop it in the comments. My favorite childhood memory is having energy. Yeah, and when going to bed early was a punishment. Grandma's house in the 80s starter pack. Every one of these is very true. I wish we still had some of that Tupperware. It lasts forever. And the strawberry candy was awesome. Hey kids, do you want to twist your ankles really badly today? All the stupid things that we did as kids is probably why a lot of us are hurting today. I was spitting sunflower seeds out the window on my way home, but I guess they found their way back in the car. Things I miss from the 80s. Going round to someone's house without calling or texting them beforehand. Well, that's a half-truth, maybe. I really don't like it when people just show up to my house unannounced, because they're usually interrupting whatever I'm working on. I was raised by turtles and ghosts, and I turned out fine. TV executive. So the whole show is just you painting for half an hour. It'll never work. Nobody will watch that. Bob Ross. I used to watch his Joy of Painting show all the time, and he was a real artist. It ain't like the people that claim to be artists these days, who look like they just took some paint and threw it at a canvas, and then sign it and sell it for $1 million. Or even worse, the guy who duct taped a banana to a blank canvas. Or there was the guy that actually sold a blank canvas to a museum. He titled it, "Take the Money and Run." Most art these days is just dumb. Who remembers the name of these 80s snow globes? Oh, you think Barbie gives little girls unrealistic body image expectations? Don't even start. How I feel when I talk about the 1980s to anyone under 30. Yeah, because most of the time they don't have a clue what you're talking about. You might be old, but are you this old? This is something that most of the later Gen X kids watched growing up. Parents in the 80s. Don't watch that movie. It's too scary. Also parents in the 80s. Let's go to dinner. That's true. The animatronics on the stage were kind of creepy. And the older they got, the creepier they were, because they never repaired them. These kids need Elf on a Shelf to behave? That's cute. We had Belt in our dad's hand. Yeah, and that needs to make a major comeback on these younger generations. Would have had a lot of the problems that we got today if it had of. Don't judge me. You don't know the year I've had. How many of you, when you were kids, would sneak into the kitchen and get the Cool Whip and just eat the whole bowl? The perfect candle doesn't exist. Blockbuster, fond memories, BO, and weird carpet fragrance. The world you were born into no longer exists. This was one of the best games back then. I didn't have a computer at home, but I played it at school. Most kids today wouldn't stand a chance, and that's even if they figured out how to load the game. Fun fact, did you know all indoor filming on Home Alone was actually filmed in a school gym? No, I didn't, and that makes it even more impressive, because it would have been far more difficult to build all this and make it look like a house than it would have been to actually use a house. My first cell phone. I looked like I was under enemy fire and calling it an airstrike. That's about the best description I've heard for a bag phone. I had an uncle that used to have one of these for his business. Pop quiz. How many batteries did he need? Probably at least a dozen D-size batteries. I think I'll make a mixtape. By which I mean a playlist. But look, I'm Gen X, and we call them mixtapes. Deal with it. The maker of Atari is also the founder of Chuck E. Cheese. I'm really glad he was better at making video games than he was at creating restaurants. I'm in the I'm getting old department. A kid saw this and said, "Oh, you 3D printed the save icon. This is brutal." Why is this still the save icon? Because the younger generations don't know what it is. I told everyone at work this was a photo of the day I was born, and nobody batted an eye. If you know where this is from, you know what to do. I'm not sure if I'm becoming one of those, back in my day, old cynical people, or if new music actually just sucks. There's no doubt about it. With only a few exceptions, today's new music actually just sucks. How it feels when I have to scroll down to the year I was born. Every morning on WGN before school. This is one TV show that reaches all the way back into the end of the boomers and for the entire generation of Gen X. I'm this old. Anyone else collect them back in the day? I remember having some of these, but I can't remember how many I had. What was it about these puffy type stickers that was so much more intriguing to us than regular stickers? When someone calls my phone instead of just texting like a normal person. Fred was locked out. He banged on the door and yelled. Why didn't he just go through the window? That's a good point. And the thing is, I never questioned this as a kid. The reason these toys are critical as kids. This is absolutely true. I've seen things like this so many times, it's ridiculous. As a kid, when this came on, it was time to turn the TV off. That was a pretty unique show for back in the days. There were some episodes that really made you think about things. Back when Kmart was at its peak. Superman really needs his kick for this. I agree. Who drew this and didn't even give that thought? Further, how many of us saw things like this and didn't think about it either? Remember when your uncle really wanted that pool table and jacket? So, how did you get into classical music? Me. I've never liked opera, but to this day, I'd watch Bugs Bunny on Merry Melodies or Looney Tunes. How people learned to drive in the 80s. These people would take your order, scribble an address down on paper, and hand it to a delivery driver who would show up at your house in less than 30 minutes. No GPS. This is true. I worked at 3 different pizza places back in the day. At different times, of course. And the best drivers would know where any address was. And we had a huge delivery area, about 5 to 10 miles away from the store. Sometimes taking an order out to a house in the middle of the woods somewhere. The 1980s. This is proof that people did not look into a mirror before going out. I honestly think that's true in a lot of ways. How many of you guys remember those type of tube socks? I wonder when the Bermuda Triangle stopped working. Not a lot of drama there anymore. Oh, it's probably still happening, but there's just so many other things that used to be conspiracy theories that has now been proven to be conspiracy facts, that things like this has just become a side note at the end of the page. The GoBots, the Kmart of Transformers. That's a perfect description, actually. If you know what this is, we can be friends. It's Friday in the mid-80s, and your parents take you out to Blockbuster Video. Life is great. But the new release that you actually wanted to get that day was all out, so you end up over in this section getting 2 or 3 other movies that you haven't seen in a while. There's a lot of movies that I watch these days, and it's like watching them for the first time because I don't remember any of it. People crying about stepping on Legos have never heard of Jax. That is absolutely true. Little known fact, but Jax was actually modeled off of these vehicle tire spikes. People my age know what this is immediately. I know this is the food court section, but I can't remember if it's at Kmart or Target. If you know who this is, your childhood was golden. If you know, drop it in the comments. When you cook dinner at home instead of ordering from DoorDash. I don't know why this is in here. When you see Arnold Schwarzenegger, what is the first movie that comes to mind? For me, the first movie comes to mind is Conan the Barbarian. And of course, everybody thinks of Terminator. Worst coloring book in the galaxy. So, I guess I'm done. I'm looking to sell my DeLorean. Good shape, low mileage. Only driven from time to time. I actually tried to find one of those for sale a long time ago. You can't even begin to touch them these days. Canned air is being sold online. Spaceballs did it first. I'm still trying to figure out how my grandma pulled this off. I guess they'd make some kind of adapter or a converter box of some sort. Remember these? Yes, I do. They were actually pretty cool. Whoever invented this contraption there that the phone sets in so it could be used by the computer was a genius. Corn Pops from the foil bag hit different. All the foods back in the day that came in these foil type bags always stored for a longer time, and it's tasted a lot better than the stuff today. Of course, back then they used real sugar and other ingredients, whereas today everything is just chemicals, artificial flavor, and GMOs. If this video brought you a smile, please share it with someone else. Check out my other videos here on the channel, stored in akornzstash. I thank you all for watching, everyone stay safe, and I hope this video has brightened up your day. This is Akorn, signing off.